just to understand the logistics of the business world. But it wasn't the logistics of the business world that allows me to be successful today. It is the fact that I did not lose who I was. And I was able to engulf even the pain, the frustration, the doubt, the times of feeling like giving up. It was in those moments that God continued to redefine my purpose, to magnify my purpose, to allow me to reach other individuals. And now I stand before you today as a successful speaker, as an author, and one who has a trucking company that is on the road that is going to be able to provide jobs for other inmates as well as other individuals who need jobs. So whenever I think about branding, I think about being who you are, and in being who you are, whatever you represent will draw those same type of people and allow them to become released from some of those financial burdens as well as those mental, emotional, and spiritual prisons that keep them from seeing who they are as a brand themselves.
Wow, that's powerful. I know Tammy has something she wants to add to what you're saying. We always speak about authenticity on her platform, and especially in branding. And I just love what you said. You have to know who you are, and you have to know who you are. So, Tammy, I'm going to pass that mic back to you.
When it's dealing with branding, I totally agree, because we are our brand. We represent our brand. And there's also a quote that I like by Jim Roque. He says that success is something you attract by being an attractive person. So when you represent your brand and your image, and we all in the image of God, we want to represent quite well. That's our image. And so when we look at branding strategies and techniques and methods, we have to set standards for our brand. And we also have to enhance our brand, but the key to enhancing our brand is the consistency for brand recognition. And so when you look at some of the most recognizable brands out there like Pepsi and Coca-Cola, the keys are their consistency. But you have to remain relevant, consistent, and flexible in this fast-changing world of marketing. But some businesses tend to put the cart before the horse. But we have to focus on our methods, our strategy for our brand. And that tends to help elevate our brand to the next level, our craft, and our elevator type of the pitch that you put out there for your branding techniques as well. So the key is consistency. When you feel like people are really not paying attention to your brand, you have to remain consistent. And even you have to remain relevant as well. You have to stay relevant in the fast-changing marketing of branding as well. So this is truly amazing what you're sharing with us, Josh, and it's astonishing. It's profoundly simple but simply profound way of leaving a lasting impression in the hearts and minds of our target audience. Great information. There you go.
I agree, Tammy, and something you said about consistency being key, and it prompted me to think about Joshua's words about knowing who you are. And a lot of times, people, they start off really passionate, even in our Christian walk, right, as believers. We start off really passionate, and that consistency, sometimes we have to be reminded, right, that our minds have to be renewed in the Messiah, right, on a day-to-day basis. We just can't come to him one time, right, and say, clean us up and do whatever, and then we forget, right? We forget about him. And then
right.
You hear what I'm saying? And so
right.
I love what you all are saying, because a lot of times we don't know who's watching us, man of God, and people are watching you, right? We say there's trolls, right? I'm a little older, but there's trolls on the social media, right? People are watching you, and if we're not consistent in knowing who we are, how can we represent him? Come on, as a brand, as a brand ambassador for the King of Glory, right? And so,
right.
You have really inspired me. I watched your live at 5. Yes, I did. I cyber-stalked you, man of Yahweh. I did. I said, let me go see what this young man is about. And I was so impressed So y'all, we're going to get to that moment where you can share your social media information, but I just had to tell you, I'm not a fanatic. Listen, I'm not a fan, but I'm a believer, and I believe in what you're doing. And because you've inspired me, can you share with us today who inspires Joshua Proby? Who is some of your inspirational role models, man of God?
My inspiration role model, of course, I grew up without a father. So I never had that father figure in my life. So growing up, I began to read and study. One of my role models is Dr. King. Another role model is my pastor. And my key role model is Jesus Christ, first and foremost. Because these individuals taught me one thing, and one thing that I didn't have for many years in my life, and that's purpose. They taught me purpose, and each one of them had something that they were doing that was greater than themselves. It wasn't just all about how much money they can make or how many people they can get to flow into the church or how many people would follow them, but it was a purpose. It was a purpose that beyond anything, they were going to fulfill the purpose before anything else. And with each individual, purpose was the main thing. So those were my role models. But sometimes we get caught up in role models because of the glitz and glamour of it. But my role models signify purpose, sacrifice. And each one of those individuals did that. They sacrificed their lives to have something greater for somebody else. So when I look at role models, those are my role models for purpose and for sacrifice. And that's what I embody in what I do and what I carry forth. It's all about carrying a purpose that goes far beyond your living. So I want what I'm doing to last longer than my lifespan. And that's when you know that you're making an impact in the world, and that's when you know that you're changing. And whether one person is clicking on your videos or 1,000 people are clicking on your videos, as long as that can be passed down from generation to generation and to inspire others, then that's the whole purpose.
That is quite deep. That's a part of core principles and foundational that you are sharing with the listening audience. And we have to realize as God people, we are resilient. We have to leave a lasting legacy. And there's a quote by Dr. Martin Luther King. He said, for the compelling necessity of embracing the fierce urgency of now, for there is no substitute for action. We have to be action-oriented. We have to be proactive. And when God tells us to launch out into these spiritually speaking, we have to launch out with faith and trust the process while we're waiting. So it shows that you are cemented in your passion and you helping other people to reach their greatest potential and their best destiny as well. And so by having this passion and being cemented, those are pillars to being successful in life, and that tends to ignite a fire in us. And what you shared about inspirational role models is incredible. These type of individuals of stature that truly should be carved in stone so that their life legacy of servant leadership and sacrifice might not be lost to mankind. And Joshua, your time in prison taught you the true meaning of freedom. It allowed God to inspire you in a vital message for the world. How do we surmount our limitations to evolve into our God's-given purpose? And what are the key ingredients to be successful in our personal lives and kingdom marketplace?
While I was in prison, that's a great question. While I was in prison, I knew that I was innovative. I knew that I was smart. I knew that I was strong, but I didn't know how to tap into those things. I had no idea how to truly tap into those things. So it wasn't until I faced the root of my problem. And it wasn't the superficial things. It wasn't just because my father wasn't in my life or my mother battled addiction, who is an amazing minister now, one of the strongest women that I know. It wasn't that these situations happened in my life. it was something that I kept trying to cover up for so many years, and that was the fact that I was molested when I was younger. And when I got to the root of that part of my life, and this is what I talk about in the book, sometimes we don't realize, we always look at prison being a physical place. But far before I was ever in a physical prison, I was in a mental, emotional, and spiritual prison. I was bound. The definition of prison is to be confined. My thoughts were confined. My emotions was confined. All of these aspects of my life were confined. So it was only a matter of time before I actually entered physical prison, simply because my inner state. So in order for individuals to surmount those limitations that they have been placed in their lives, you have to get to the root of the areas of your life, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, that have caused you to be in a prison, whether it could be a bad marriage, whether it could be struggling with a rough childhood, or watching your parents have addiction, not having a mother, not having a father. Each one of these things that we're told in life to just keep pushing through, to keep just keep pushing, and you never get that opportunity to face it. You never have that opportunity to get to the root of it. Then it becomes just like a weed. You continue to see minimal success in your life, and then it all crumbles down, because emotionally you don't know how to handle it once you get to a certain level, because you never reach that area. So now you're limited. So one thing that I realized most importantly is that you have to get to the root of your problem, and getting to the root of your problem, it becomes the key to breaking you free from the mental, emotional, and spiritual prisons that you've been placed in your life, which then allows God to come in and let you know, because you're in alignment, that allows you to know that greater is he who lives in you than he who is in the world. So you don't have to let those limitations that the world, that the past, that people put on you, and you can now become great. You can now see the greatness through Christ, and through Christ you can be able to evolve. And as you evolve, he's already said that your gifts and your talents I will bring before great men. So now that once you're brought into those areas, the marketplace is brought underneath the subjection of the power in which that you bring forth, by not allowing those negative things hold you bound anymore.
And that takes true courage to speak about what you've been through. And courage is a virtue. And what you've been through, someone else may not be able to handle that. So we talk a lot about suicide awareness on this radio platform. So this is giving hope to someone who have experienced something similar to what you have went through. And even in 2016, the second leading cause of death in the U.S. for people between the ages of 10 and 34 was suicide. Suicide is on the rise. And in 2015, 44,193 Americans died by their own hand. Something has to be done. And even what you mentioned about, what you shared about your testimony, we appreciate your altruistic spirit, that honesty is the bedrock of a good relationship. And you have risen from the ashes. And so you are cemented in what your passion to help others that went through pain, to show them their true purpose. And so you are being a vessel of love by standing up strong and saying that you can make it, no matter what you go through, because so many people internalize these negative self-taught things that they've been taught and things that they've been thinking. They internalize that. So you are showing people how to apply their inner rock and be able to channel the positive inner rock of their being, of the true essence of who they are, to be able to expand their consciousness, be cognizant of situations so they can be able to live a life of freedom, live a life of liberty. Because this message is quite liberating for someone who's going to listen to this radio broadcast. And they say, if Joshua Proby made it through, they can make it through as well. And there's a scripture that I like so much. Matter of fact, I love it, because it talks about liberty. It talks about the perfect law of liberty. And in James 1:25, but it says, but whoso look into the perfect law of liberty and continue therein, he being not a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the work, this man should be blessed in his deed. Yes. So we have to learn how to stand on the Scriptures. Let the Scriptures permeate our mind